first I get hit up with work things.
Hit the camera. It's too late for work. It's too late to apologize. It's too late.
Please clap it in.
This camera? Does it matter?
Well, you want to hit all of them.
Oh, Ravi, you're in better position than me to do this.
Sorry, this is a work thing.
Actually,
There you go. Yep, you got it.
And 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Is that loud enough?
That was good.
Oh, it was good. My clap was
Christian,
good.
say hello to everyone on YouTube and Facebook.
Hello. I'm so nervous. No, I'm just kidding. Hello and welcome to today's episode of What's It Good? If you can't tell from the title and description, we are going to be looking at Star Trek Lower Decks, Lovecraft Country, and some newsy news. So if you're watching, please say hi. We'll try and pull your comments in during the actual episode, but we'll get to more of them toward the end as well. Unless you have something relevant to say, then we can definitely pull it in, because this is a live taping of the podcast.
And I'm ready now. And 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, it's that time. We are Was It Good, and I'm your poorly dressed host, Ravi. I'm joined by my two brothers, Christian and Arjuna. We, of course, are talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, HBO's new show, Lovecraft Country, and some newsy news. But first, it's a special time. Someone was born on the release date of this podcast episode. Edward Norton. He was born August 18th, 1969. What a special actor he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really
beautiful.
That's really good information.
That's great
Was he
information.
actually?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what the Google says.
That's actually fascinating, not because of the date, but because it was 1969, which is Krishna's favorite year, favorite number, 69.
69.
But
Yes.
yeah, August 18th, just another day, you know.
And
Nothing
for
important.
those listening at home, we do this podcast on twitch.tv/what'sitgood every Monday night. We have our chat open, and feel free to jump in, comment, talk to us, make fun of how we are dressed. And before we get into the real good chunk of the show, we are doing another giveaway. This time, these awesome face masks. As you all know, with COVID running rampant, face masks are very important. You should wear one anytime you leave to go out in public. We will be doing the contest on both Instagram, so Was It Good BTM, and then on Twitter at Was It Good. Just make sure you like, comment, and follow us to be entered to win, and we will announce the winner. We're going to give away 2 of these face masks next week at the time of the taping of our podcast, which would be on Twitch. So, good stuff. Face masks.
Noise.
Everyone needs more of those.
Yes.
But anyway, let's actually talk about some stuff that is interesting.
Oh, yeah. We're not even going to address the birthday.
No, I'm speeding through it.
What, you embarrassed by it?
I'm
It's not even your own.
by Arjuna's birthday today.
It's Arjuna's birthday.
Today, tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Every
yeah,
day
whenever it
Every
is.
day is Arjuna's birthday.
It
Yeah.
is?
So
No.
go ahead and hit him up at what's your Twitter? I don't even know what your Twitter
It's just
is.
at Arjuna Ramgopal.
Oh, what a
Just-
boring
Just
generic.
my name.
Hit him up. It is his birthday. He's turning like 40, I think. So
Arjuna, the youngest, is turning 40. So
yeah,
You guys must be in
he
your
got that
50s.
Benjamin Button disease, or maybe I have that disease. Fuck, who knows?
my goodness, Arjuna, did you This is kind of fun because obviously we're taping the day before your birthday, but this is coming out on the day of your birthday.
Yeah.
So let's pretend real quick. Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah, was it good?
Well, I should answer that next week. I should answer that on next week's podcast.
No, you
No,
have to
no,
answer
no.
right now.
Right now.
Was it good?
It
Yes.
was great.
Okay.
Yeah?
Great.
All
Well,
right.
we already started a little early. We had a little
Little Arjuna. I haven't been that drunk in a couple years.
we had
Christian was so wasted. He thought it would be great to show us Rogue One.
actually so
42 minutes. of
Wait. I want to put this on. I want to put this on tape. Christian did make a promise on Saturday night that
yeah.
if the Boston Celtics win the NBA championship, Krishna will go ahead and get a tattoo with Ravi, and I will get matching tattoos of something that we
Yeah.
all agree upon.
You know what the worst part is? I didn't remember saying that until you mentioned it. I was like, wait, I did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, you
It
did.
was not a dream.
You did. That was great.
So
You said it. You
Does
said it.
Does it have to be? It's gonna be a design we all come up with.
It's gonna be something we all agree upon
Yeah.
and everything. Like
So we'll
that,
take
but-
suggestions.
Yeah,
Originally, we had when England was playing in the World Cup.
that's still on the table.
It's still on the table. If England ever wins a World Cup in our lifetime, while we are alive and breathing, we will all get a 3 lions tattoo. Yeah. So like 3 lions is like the emblem of
Wait,
the English national team, I think, or maybe just England in general. I'm not actually sure.
I have a better idea for this joint tattoo.
For the Celtics?
Yes, I'm going to use it as a segue so we can actually get into the show.
Ooh.
It should be
No.
It should be
No.
the Federation
No.
symbol.
No.
A Star Trek
absolutely not.
The Star Trek Federation symbol. All 3 of us should get that as a
No.
matching tattoo.
No.
Because there's no way in hell that could go south.
No. You know why?
Because Trump
Star
and
Trek sucks.
because Trump and Space Force,
Space Force.
are utilizing that same
Oh, God.
symbol.
No
Or very
way.
It's a very similar looking symbol
Oh,
to the
fuck that shit.
Federation.
Well, and also, I'm not as Trekkie, so that would be a waste of my body.
That would be a waste of ink. You could always, black it out, years later.
What a waste of time.
Anyway, Star Trek, Lower Decks. We got episode 2 finally. Well, not finally. A week later.
A week later, yeah.
I'll start right off the bat. Obviously, when I saw the first episode, my hype was really, really up there. This one felt like it was good. It was interesting. But, I think I'm realizing that this isn't Star Trek.
Oh, interesting. All
in the
right.
sense of, like, what I'm used to with Star Trek, which is this, like, hour-long, maybe episodic, maybe non-episodic, depending on what series you're watching. But usually it's this kind of like, oh, what kind of cool thing are they going to go do? This one felt a lot more screaming. There was a lot more yelling and just running around doing stuff. It's a very, very simplistic type story. In this particular episode, basically they're delivering a Klingon to a Federation embassy. The guy's drunk.
Things go horribly
wrong. It's a little funny, but it's how do I put it? So when you watch like Family Guy,
Yeah.
you kind of just sit there and you put it on. And
Things happen.
things happen, and you're kind of paying attention.
Yeah.
Not really. It's kind of where I was with this episode for some reason.
I disagree with that. I wouldn't say this is like Family Guy level, but there's certainly through lines and there's character development for our characters, and there's definitely overarching themes that you're getting. Like you're understanding that our main male ensign like is definitely egotistical and like wants to be the best, and that his friend, the main female character, is actually very competent, but she's playing down the stuff to help him. Like you see that with the call with the Ferengi that she has at the the Ferengi or the Andorian.
He's a Ferengi.
Ferengi, that's right. The Ferengi.
By
she
the way,
has
real quick,
at the end. So
Krisha thought that Ferengi was I forget the character's name for Deep Space Nine.
Nox?
The bartender.
Yeah, Nox.
He looks just like the bartender.
That's
you're saying all
alienist.
Ferengi look alike? Wow.
Kind of.
Wow. Wow.
At least in this universe.
That is not a good thing to say in this day and age, especially with the Ferengi.
Is that speciesist?
I have no idea. We haven't met any aliens that I'm aware
Listen,
of.
I think I'm okay because I don't watch Star Trek, so forgive me for thinking that a Ferengi looks just like another Ferengi that I've seen twice.
But I actually liked this episode more than the first episode. And I
Really?
think I'm in the minority on this one.
You are.
But the reason I liked it was I think we're getting more of our characters. I really actually liked the B plot, which showed off all the different
What was the people?
the cyborg guy going through all the different departments on
I
the
like that
starship.
Too. That was the
And
best
I actually really like that because like as a Trek fan but not a super fan, it's kind of nice to get that little bit of world building of like, okay, what exactly are the colors again? Like I know 90%, but it's just nice for that reinforcement, and then kind of to get the archetypes and the stereotypes and all that.
I have a
kind of
quick
stuff.
question. Why does security and engineering wear the same uniform?
Because they're both useless.
Grunts?
Yeah, I guess
They're
you
the
could
worker force?
They could argue, yeah, they're the worker force, right? They keep the ship running and then they're protecting the ship.
Why can't one of them just be green? Why can't the security be green?
Well, so
That
at
doesn't
some,
make
some
sense.
iterations, green is medical.
Yeah, green and
But
blue are
it's-
typically medical. Red is like senior staff or command staff.
So what? But yeah, it's still confusing why engineers and security would be the same color. It's two very different jobs. Security, two very different skill sets. And
So they
knowledge.
ran out of colors. What can I say?
But make them
Purple.
black. Oh, gray.
Black is section 31.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Section 31 wears black all the time. They look cool.
They even mentioned section 31 in this episode.
Yes,
I don't
they
remember-
do,
I don't
actually.
remember that. I was like Gravity. I was sort of in and out.
Even though I was in and out, though, I picked up on a lot of like the fun Easter eggs, like the Section 31.
I didn't.
RC, it wasn't really an Easter egg. The Janeway stuff was really funny.
The Janeway maneuver?
Yes.
What is the
great.
Janeway? Yeah, what does that refer to for us? Non-Trekkies. What is the Janeway maneuver?
So basically, Janeway trapped a whole bunch of people in another quadrant because she wanted to like save children essentially, and because of it, she wants to save the child or some living being, and because of it, most of her crew got horribly murdered and died, and the rest of them that survived the initial like whatever ended up on another part of the whole galaxy, and
wow,
would take 200 or 70 years.
So like a
long.
really terrible.
It's a good meta criticism of Janeway.
Yeah.
Basically, it's screw your crew.
It's kind of like we need more Holdo maneuvers.
Nope.
No,
We don't talk
We
about
can't
that.
do crossovers here.
What? We do it all the
Star
time.
Wars and Star Trek are very different.
They're
I don't
so
see any
different.
similarities between
Yeah,
the two.
me neither. Yeah, one's good and one's bad.
Wasn't there an episode in Star Trek where somebody did something similar with the warp drive to blow up some shit?
I mean, honestly, I believe that maneuver's been done in most sci-fi, like the kamikaze, essentially.
Not Dune.
It's taken from naval warfare back in the day when you would put like you'd make the front of your ship made out of like iron or something, and all those ships would do is just run through other ships, right? Yeah, other ships, you might have like bowmen on them. They might have like cannons or catapults, whatever they were using at the time. But I think like a strong component of a lot of these like naval fleets was the ramming ship. So, and all they would do is just ram
The
shit.
hammerhead maneuver in Rogue One.
What?
The hammerhead.
Oh yeah,
The Rogue One we watched on Saturday.
Wow,
where
I forgot
You
about
can't
that.
remember that?
you
It was
must
a
have
great
been really
time.
gone.
I was drunk. God. Well, anyway, it's back to Star Trek.
What do you guys think? So clearly they're doing cold opens for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the cold.
The cold open was actually was maybe the funniest part of the episode was the little like orb thing. That's like,
Oh,
I'm going to kill your
yeah.
species. And it's like, oh, we're
Oh,
just
we're
going to
gonna
trap you in
show
a
it,
jar.
yeah.
And then like used most of its energy to make a transporter. And then it tried to attack the captain and it died because it didn't have enough energy left. I thought that was fun.
Yeah,
I like
that was.
that.
I forgot
It's
all
it's very different.
about it. Yeah,
It's out there.
Yeah.
it's like its own episode.
No, this is not an episode. It's just it's a cold open, pull you in type thing, as
Yeah.
opposed to showing you the
A quick situation.
I mean, I still think the best type of show that like has the most hilarious and most interesting cold opens are the CSI shows.
Really?
Yeah, because it's typically like they go and they discover a dead body, and 9 times out of 10 the character says, "Well, I guess they're dead," and it's like, okay. And then it's that zany music.
CSI might. Well, those ones also connected to the plot. Like these are very much like the Office cold opens where they don't connect
All the time.
most of the time
Yeah.
to the plot of the episode.
Right.
And so obviously 2 episodes in, we had the leg being sliced, and now this one. So it's kind of fun.
yeah.
And it's obviously very different for Star Trek. That's different. The 30-minute format is a little different.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it so far. I like that they're really just focusing on the 4 core characters. The senior staff was in the episode again a little bit, but they're certainly not taking the spotlight, and that's what I like.
Right.
It will be funny because Lower Decks is based off of the Lower Decks Next Generation episode. If they do an episode that focuses like on the senior staff, like as kind of like a nod to
They
like,
kind of have to, right?
it would be fun. It would be funny at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Enterprise reference did you see in there?
They mentioned the Enterprise, the one ensign that served on the Enterprise for a minute. Is the
I think I remember that
they
too. Yeah.
they mentioned that because I think it's near the beginning where he's like, yeah, I just did really well, so I get to fly the Klingon, and he's like, guess who I think it's like, guess who the best ensign is, and they're like, this other one, and they're like, just because she served on the Enterprise for like a minute doesn't mean she's that cool or whatever.
I mean, the Enterprise is the flagship. Like, if you're on the Enterprise, then you're somebody.
Best of the best.
You're best of the best.
Instead of this second contact.
Unless
ship.
you are Will Wheaton, because then what you do is you get put on the flagship. You go through the ranks. You become like this great pilot, and then you're stuck in this conspiracy thing, and you throw your entire career away.
Jesus.
Is that what happens to his character?
I'm paraphrasing, but
Oh.
close to it. Yes.
Do we think Will Wheaton will appear in this show?
I would think I would say yes, because I mean, I don't see why not. Will Wheaton is like very connected with the whole like nerd Hollywood culture and everything, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he guest or voice on Rick and Morty at one point?
Yes.
So if that's the case, then yeah, I'm sure he's going to make an appearance like either as his character from Star Trek.
Oh, it has to be.
Or a guest. I mean, if you do like a rando guest character, that feels kind of a waste. But
Yeah.
a Will Wheaton would be great.
He's got to be his character's name is William Crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be Will, but grown up.
Yeah.
And it'd be funny because these are kids, right? They're supposed to be like kid ensigns, so you could definitely have like a fun plot there. It's like, yeah, I used to be the prodigy kid, and it's like he's gone nowhere. Like that would be much in line with the show. Like he's like 2 stars.
He's like their future.
Yeah, essentially.
Or their potential future. I like that. That could be fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see. I think what will probably end up happening is we'll see more like mentions of the Star Trek universe, and then maybe season 2 is when we'll get, I think, more of these.
Oh, they're gonna
cameos.
Mandalorian it up. So first season
Yeah.
introduces everything, and then the second season is Rebels.
Which works,
Right.
except if you're Arjuna,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you just
Juna
hate
hates it. Juna
for
hates it,
every
yeah.
reason.
okay, I just don't want it to become Star Wars Rebels season 5. It's very
And
Why
even
not,
if it
though?
did, it's fine.
Yeah,
for me,
it
it's
could be.
not
It could be
fine.
fun.
Christian, your cable is showing.
Oh,
So is
it's
mine.
kind of annoying. I'll have to put it back. Sorry, I can't
Yeah.
do it. I can't do it.
No, put your cable.
No,
away. No one
I'm-
wants to see your cable.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to see my cable.
Krishna,
Yes.
was Star Trek Lower Decks?
Lower Bridge.
Lower Bridge.
Was Star Trek Lower Decks season 1 episode 2 good?
Yeah, it was good. It's clearly, you're right. It's clearly its own thing. It doesn't feel Star Trek to me, but for me, that's a strength because I'm not a big Star Trek fan. Ravi, was Lower Decks season 1 episode 2 good?
Yes, it was great. It was good. I
All right.
enjoyed it very
Excellent.
much so.
We're done here.
Juna,
happy birthday! As an early birthday present, you don't have to give your answer.
I think
That's
that's
the
a
whole
great,
point of the show.
great birthday
the
present.
hell?
Fine, Juna, or maybe we will both ask them together.
No, that's so silly.
Arjuna.
We'll do each one word.
Okay, perfect. Arjuna.
Was
Star.
Trek
Lower.
Decks
Season.
1,
Episode.
2,
Good.
question,
Mark.
full stop.
Wait.
Yes, it was good, and I think in the minority, I think it was better than episode 1. I'm excited to see where this show goes. Boldly goes where no show has gone.
Boldly
before.
goes is boldly go.
Boldly bow.
No, it's gonna goes.
It goes?
Yeah.
Wow, did you go to English school?
Krishna taught me English.
Well, there you
Well,
go.
that's your problem right there.
What do I want to jump to? Before we get to our Was It News, there's obviously another show more recently that just premiered this past Sunday on HBO. It's HBO's original, I think it's a limited release series or limited series run, Lovecraft Country.
Yes.
It is it's not an original concept. It's based off a 2016 graphic novel.
Oh, it's a graphic novel.
Graphic novel.
Shoot. Okay.
That follows a black novelist, sci-fi novelist.
I think he's a fan. I don't know if he's a novelist.
Well, in the 2016, it says he's a novelist.
Also, he writes.
He writes as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
And it
so far, we've only seen him reading.
His name is Atticus, and it follows his journey through kind of supernatural stuff, which is all related around the Lovecraft mythos or the Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos. I just said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Most of it I don't understand because
Right.
I've heard of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually haven't.
Don't really know what he did.
So
all that
H.P.
much.
Lovecraft is known as like kind of one of the founding pillars of the horror genre, right?
See, I thought based on his name it was like comedy.
So he's contributed a lot to the horror genre. However, H.P. Lovecraft, the issue with Lovecraft is he was horribly racist as well. So this show is kind of showing Lovecraft, essentially. It's kind of like you were created horror. You are one of the founding fathers of horror. However, you are also very racist, which is kind of how you come to this story. This is
the real life horror.
Right, exactly.
Let's be honest.
So there's a lot of themes there, and there's a lot of stuff there, and I think that's kind of what this show is doing. It's showing their survival, not just through very typical sci-fi, scary monster horror stuff, but also racism. And I think the first episode, spoiler alert, the first episode does a great job with that, specifically in those last 20 minutes when our three main characters, Letty, Atticus, and George
Freeman.
have to all
It's a perfect name.
I mean, it is a great name. All have to try and get out of the county before sundown because they'll be hung. Then they get to the next county. It's also a sundown county. They get arrested. They're in a horrifying situation that then becomes even more horrifying when these vampire creatures come out of nowhere and just rip them to pieces.
So I actually disagree. The horrible part is the racism, and then as soon as the creature showed up, it was almost like a welcome respite.
Yeah.
I was like, there's so much tension in the racism part.
Yeah, of course.
That when the vampires came, I almost relaxed. I'm like, here we go. Yeah, this is what I.
Do you know why?
Because it's uncomfortable.
Correct.
And
which is amazing.
And it says a lot. It's like you would almost rather in your entertainment, which is why I think the show is going to be fucking amazing. In your entertainment, you'd rather see this fake horror, because facing the real horrors is uncomfortable.
And I think that's the point.
That is
I
the
think
point.
that is the absolute point. You're supposed to feel very uncomfortable, and I think what you felt is exactly what they were
going for. I'll say this right now. Everything. It seems like it would be really hard to blend the two. Like, here's a real world issue, but I think it's helped by the setting, which is the 1950s, right? I think the show takes place in the 1950s. I think.
Yeah, post World War II.
Yep. Yeah, don't quote me on that.
It is. It is the 1950s.
Yeah, post World War II and post Korean War, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because our main character, or one of our main characters, Atticus, is a veteran of the Korean War.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so I think the setting helps a lot with getting you into this horrifying world, like Chicago, with the fire hydrant. Obviously going through like some of the backwater, states and towns and cities or whatever. All that stuff I think really helps pull you into this world that isn't that long ago.
It really isn't. Like it's
60,
a generation,
70 years ago,
70 years
two
ago,
generations ago.
Yeah.
Not even.
I mean, well, the worst part though is like what we're seeing. I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but we don't have like the sundown laws in any location.
Not legally.
I say that very hesitantly.
Yes.
You don't know, right?
It's
Exactly.
kind of
I would be
scary.
I'd be willing to bet there's nothing on paper or legal, but I'm
Sure.
sure there's unofficial sundown towns. Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely
up.
interesting show. I'll say this: the opening sequence that we got, where it's we see the main character Atticus running through the trenches
in black and white.
In black and white, very heavy film grade. There is a voiceover piece that sounds like an old 1940s, 30s, 40s recording of some sort.
I believe I read this. I think it's actually taken from a Jackie Robinson biopic done in the 50s. Because a lot of the VOs and stuff are pulled from historic things, and I think that one's actually pulled because Jackie Robinson shows up in that quote-unquote dream sequence. I believe that is his voice.
And in this dream sequence, it goes from black and white, heavy film grade, to explosions in color, then fully into color. It's still high contrast film look, and then we are getting like these large panning wide shots, and then we kind of pop up, and then we see the classic like 1940s looking UFO saucers, and then an alien woman coming down,
walking tripods, right? War of the Worlds,
flying Cthulhu looking monsters, then a Cthulhu monster thing rising up and about to eat him, then Jackie Robinson using his bat to rip the thing in half, and then it comes back together, and then Atticus wakes up.
Great opening sequence. I was like, because I went into the show not knowing anything.
I think you pretty much asked, like, what is the show about?
Yeah, and I was just like, and that intro doesn't help, and that's a strength.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, so much going on, you're just like, what the hell? And it's perfect because I feel like it's supposed to be a representation of all the books that Atticus is reading or is into, sort of like an amalgamation, if that's the right word, of his life.
Yeah.
So, quite wonderful. Really well done. Visually stunning.
Yeah, I mean... And shout out to the creator of the show, Misha Green. She started off as a staff writer on 2 shows that I believe both of you may have watched, Heroes and Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, wow.
She then went on to produce the show Helix. Then she moved on and created a show called Underground, which was about the Underground Railroad, that actually also starred Jurnee Smollett. who's the female lead of this show.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think she did a really good job.
So she's the showrunner?
Yeah, she is the showrunner. She wrote all the scripts for the show. I don't know if she directed any of the episodes. It only has the directors for the first 5, and she's not any of the directors for the first 5. But I don't know if she directed any of the later episodes. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this show is complex because it's obviously not easy to juggle so many
completely different
elements.
storylines.
Or elements and storylines. There's also a lot of characters that were introduced in the first episode, and honestly, I felt like, HBO shows are always considered kind of dense and have a lot of information. Look at a show like Westworld or Game of Thrones, where like Game of Thrones, for me, I didn't know character names till season 2 because there's so many characters, such a big world. Westworld, same thing. HBO is all about ensemble shows and these big worlds,
Epics.
and like I really thought that this show did something very un-HBO, where it was actually able to give a lot of characterization to each of the characters, where it's almost like your 3 leads are almost distinct from the first episode. And that's what I really liked about it. Like I really all the elements are really cool and stuff, but I really like the 3 main characters that we kind of have and just kind of watching them go across America. And I don't know if that's the scope of the show, if there's going to be more to it. Because I think there are obviously more characters than just those 3.
The Magic Lady.
Yes, the Magic Lady.
Who's the magic lady?
The silver car.
The silver car.
I didn't know she's magic.
Well, we don't, but you
She
assume
could-
there's a magical.
I get like James Bond vibes from that
Well,
silver car in her.
So correct me if I'm wrong though. Doesn't they that car pull in front of the car that's chasing him, the sheriff?
Mhm.
And then there's like an invisible barrier that shoots the car over them.
Yes.
Yeah, James
Yeah.
Bond.
That's magic.
James Bond.
What James Bond?
That you could be doing a massive amount of like a sound wave. You could be like a sound wave push.
There was no sound waves. We didn't hear any sound.
Could be the Force.
Yeah, magic.
No, midichlorians.
No, magic.
Science.
Well, it could be science. but
Midichlorian
magic.
counts could be really high.
Science is just magic until it's explained.
Wow. Anyway, other things I really enjoyed with this show so far: editing, pacing, great. I didn't feel it was like, I think it clocked in at 1 hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Didn't
And
feel that at all.
Did not feel that at all. Had really, really strong, really good pacing. You weren't sitting around waiting, going, color, their color palette that they've picked feels very, very good for this time period.
Reminds me of other HBO show, season 1 of True Detective.
Yes.
I got
Yeah.
in terms of the color, which makes sense, right? Because True Detective takes place in like rural parts of America, different states, obviously, like Alabama, I think, Texas, maybe. And this is like Massachusetts, but still though, when they were like running around in the woods, I just got very strong like True Detective. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple people probably who did both. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Just
you're
wanted to
good
point
there.
that out, yeah.
I also enjoyed that the family, Atticus's family, is a bunch of nerds that like to look at space.
Oh yeah,
and
write
write
comic books. Oh,
Like I thought that was great.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. But like the main thing that drives our character Atticus to like, come back to Chicago and to go out to this weird, in the middle of nowhere Massachusetts
Ardham
county is the fact that his father went missing for 2 weeks and then claims that he knows of Atticus's mother, who I believe has passed at this point.
Yes.
Knows of her heritage and that he is heir to something or something.
a birthright.
Some kind of birthright. So based on that, like I know we could easily probably just go pick up the graphic novel or read the synopsis and know everything. I'm going to refrain from doing
Me
that
too.
because I kind of want to guess and go into it
Yeah.
very, very much blind.
Yeah.
But what do we think? Do we think that clearly a group of individuals, so these 3 main characters and now all these dead policemen, saw these vampire monster-looking weird things. So one could argue that this is not all some kind of psychedelic trip.
Yeah.
There is some kind of physical element to this. So what do we think? What do we think is going on here? Like, where is this going? What is his heritage? Is he alien? Is he demon possessed? Is it what is it? Do we think?
I know it's kind of hard to say, but if I was gonna guess, I think it has something to do with maybe a writer bringing his creations to life. So I think either a writer he follows, maybe Lovecraft himself.
Well, Lovecraft would be dead at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like maybe he wrote a book, and the things or everything from his books is coming to life, and Atticus is gonna have to use his power, his own writing powers, to fight back or something. But I feel like there's gonna be something literary that is driving.
Wasn't there something with H.P. Lovecraft? Maybe it wasn't H.P. Lovecraft, but wasn't there already some kind of story similarly done where a writer's things came to life?
Inkheart.
Which is it?
There's a book
Is
series
it
called
Inkheart?
Inkheart.
Yeah.
And there was a movie that came out with Brendan Fraser.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
It was not
The
a
Mummy.
good movie.
Oh.
My guess is there's something going on, obviously, with the dad and the uncle, Uncle George, because there were a lot of shots they showed in this first episode where Atticus was talking about his dad, and you could see kind of Uncle George, and his face looked a little worried, and he was defending, his. I assume, are they brothers? I assume
yeah,
they're
they're
brothers.
brothers. Yep.
Talking about his brother, and so I definitely think there's something going on there. There's some type of they had an encounter back in the day, and
lot
there's
of paranormal activity.
yeah, and there's also, to me, why did Uncle George survive? Right, he claims it was because of the light and everything,
Yeah.
but I don't think this is his first encounter with the supernatural.
Right.
Especially because he goes out on the road so much too, like. He must have,
And he
probably
blames his shattered kneecaps on a racist encounter, right?
Yes.
With I think some cops maybe,
Yep.
or just some people.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe he ran into some monsters and escaped.
Yeah,
He's a monster hunter.
I would assume there's some more stuff with Uncle George, knowing some stuff about his dad, who, by the way, is going to be played by Michael K. Williams. For those who don't know, Michael K. Williams is a Wire alum. The Wire considered one of HBO's best show, probably.
Its first best show.
And
They've had a few. Well, Sopranos, I guess. Is
yeah.
another one.
But Michael K. played Omar on The Wire, one of the great,
Obama's favorite character.
one of the great characters in fictional television.
Yep.
So very excited to see him as the dad, because he's a fantastic actor.
Yep.
Shout out to this cast too, like Jonathan Majors, who plays Atticus. We're familiar with from The Five Bloods.
Phenomenal.
I really liked him in that, and I really like him in this.
Phenomenal.
Jordyin Smollett, she was in an episode of Twilight Zone, one of the better ones from season 2, and then also was in
Birds of Prey.
the Birds of Prey movie as Black Canary.
Is she also in? And I could. You know what? No, I'm not. I don't think she is. Never mind. I was gonna say one of the new Harry Potter movies, but I don't think she is. I'm lying.
No,
I'm pretty sure she's not.
It's not her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. By the way, actually, real quick, so Misha Green and Jordyin Smollett have actually worked together, and there's also been discussions of adapting Journey's Black Canary into either a solo movie or like an HBO series with Misha Green. So that is interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so DC wants to make more stuff.
Yes.
Yay.
Don't they all want to make more stuff?
Hold on,
Marvel,
let me just get a close up on my
Wars.
eye roll there. Great. Don't care about the DC stuff. But no, I definitely agree. Fabulous cast that we've got going. Like Krishna said, the fact that we're watching this and we're more uncomfortable with the racism than flesh-eating monsters ripping people to shreds, and I think that says a lot about us in general. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. Does anyone have? I know the theory is, the father's going to be playing a big part into this. Is there any other kind of out there theories? I have one theory.
Go for it.
Superman.
Aliens.
Yeah.
I believe there's some kind of alien involvement in this because our opening is him talking to this creature that's clearly
Looks like an alien woman.
Yeah, an alien woman from some other planet. So I'm going to guess that there is some kind of extraterrestrial connection. Potentially, my thinking is it's his mother. Is there's some kind of connect there? Whether that means he gets superpowers or whether it be he himself is what's bringing these things to life. I think it's gonna be some kind of connect there. But I don't think it's just gonna be strictly an Earth-based thing.
Yeah, do you guys remember he has a phone call, I think, with Korea at one point?
Yes.
He calls someone from Korea. And
he memorized this a long-ass number.
Yeah, and they say he shouldn't have left.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that quote-unquote dream sequence we saw at the beginning of the movie was not a dream. I think it actually happened to him. And that he has had run-ins with the supernatural before. There's even a line where Letty's like, "Why are you so calm right now?" And he's like, it's better to not. He says, something inspiring, like, it's better to be calm than like nervous, but it's because he's seen this stuff before. Same thing with Uncle George.
So
Letty's the only one who is acting normally because she is frightened as fuck because
She ain't never seen him before.
this is
but
horrifying.
here's the question then. So like everyone seem cool and calm headed, but like when there's the issues with like the sheriff or like when they were getting run out of town, you can clearly see like with Atticus and his uncle, there's fear in their face.
That's my point, right?
So
They're
wait.
fearful of that, but they're not fearful of the
Or
supernatural.
they're not as intimidated, or the supernatural stuff they've dealt with before.
But racism,
I'm sure they've dealt with that too.
I would assume like racism on that level, that's not new to them.
Right.
So that's why I'm a little. That seems confusing to me.
The-
I mean,
the-
and definitely they both seem very freaked out when the
Yeah.
Are we calling them vampires? I'm calling them.
I'm gonna call them sharp teeth.
I'm gonna call them vampires because that's what they called them. Because their understanding
light.
of like the light. Then they also, when they bite, you turn into one of those things.
I'm gonna
Dracula.
call them pale polar bears. Pale, furless polar bears.
That doesn't make sense.
Pale
They had like 8
Furless.
eyes.
polar bears. So the PFP.
They're bats. They're
They're
wingless bats. Giant
Nah.
wingless bats.
giant wing that can burrow underground.
Yeah. They're underground bats. I don't know.
Anywho, Arjuna was Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 1 good.
Yes, it was. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm very excited to watch the show. 9 episodes left. I don't know if it's a limited series or there's going to be multiple seasons. I hope there is, but we'll see. Krishna was Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 1. Good.
Yes, sir. It was real good. Very excited, actually. I disagree with you a little bit. If it is a limited series, they killed the limited series with The Watchmen, so
That's true.
they've done well with being
And
selective.
Chernobyl was a limited
Yeah,
series.
they've
that
done
was
really well with
done.
not making things.
Oh man, I was really looking forward to Chernobyl Season 2.
yeah, they've done
It's
really
called
well.
it's called Chernobyl COVID.
Oh, Lord.
COVID.
That's
Poopy. Ravi, was Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 1 good?
yes, it was.
Nice.
I'm very excited for Episode 2, and
Yeah.
I guess we've been blessed.
What?
For at least the next 5, 6 weeks, we've got 2 things that we will definitely be talking
10
about.
weeks.
8 weeks.
8
'Cause
weeks.
They're both 10. And this
Oh,
was
some
episodes
double
2 and
episodes.
1, so we're gonna have 8 weeks of both of these on our podcast.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Thank something. Before we get out of here for today, as this room starts to heat up, make sure when you're at home you're staying cool, stay hydrated because it is a heat wave currently. Before we get out of here, some wasn't news. Fresh Prince is getting a reboot,
Yeah.
and not the reboot that we thought we'd be getting. There was for the longest time the joke, and even some rumors popping out that Will Smith would actually take on the role of Uncle Phil. And it would be a nice, interesting comedy series and something that we could all tune in and kind of compare from the original to the new one or the reboot. But instead, it turns out we may be getting a dramatic reboot of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And what's interesting is how this came to be. Gina, do you want to fill us in on that
It's a great story.
story?
Yeah, so last
But
year.
do it in a British accent.
Yeah, so last year
It's not British.
there was a fan trailer that was released on YouTube for Fresh Prince, which was a dramatic retelling. Will Smith actually saw the trailer himself and went on YouTube. He has his own YouTube channel. Check it out if you haven't. It's actually really well done. Will Smith's YouTube channel, and talked about it and was like, wow, this thing's really cool. Like, I really liked it. And there was a report that came out after that Will Smith was looking into developing that pilot a little further. And now the guy who made it his name was Morgan Cooper. And so now, a year later, the report has come out. They've been developing it for a year, and they're ready to pitch it. And currently, there is a bidding war for this pilot. and series, which
Do we
makes
know
sense.
who is bidding right now?
I mean, it's all the streaming services like HBO Max, obviously, because they have the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Netflix. What was some of the other ones that I read? Peacock, because it was NBC, I think, originally. Apple TV is looking at it as well. The only one that's obviously not looking at it is Disney Plus, because they are so family friendly. Whatever. And everything. But it really just seems like it's a matter of if, or not matter if, when the show gets picked up and when then they can actually start developing it. No news yet on who the cast will be, if they're going to use the same actors that were used in the YouTube pilot, or if they're going to recast it. What Will Smith's involvement is going to be. Is it going to be EP? Is it going to be producer? Is he going to star in it? As a lot of people have always talked about, Will Smith is the age that
Uncle
James
Phil.
Avery, whose Uncle Phil was. It would be interesting for him to take on that role. If they wanted to do a continuation of some type, or if it is just a complete reboot. So
If it's a dramatic retelling, I want HBO to get it. We've seen that they can handle, like obviously with Lovecraft, with Watchmen, with so many other things that they've done, they can handle the dramatic very, very well. Not only that, though, like it's a fitting location, I think, the HBO Max streaming platform, because it hits all the adults, older, current, and then also the ones growing up. Will Smith has done an amazing job of hitting the Gen Z community. They know who he is.
his YouTube is great. He's reinvented himself because with his YouTube channel, honestly, in the last couple of years. And he did the smart thing, I think, last year of teaming up with a lot of YouTubers and collaborating with them. So he is Will Smith has always been a very smart guy in terms of just business and how everything works, and being one of the very few in Hollywood that looks ahead and actually does that. So I think, I agree. I think HBO is probably the smartest destination, because not only can you pair it with the original Fresh Prince, but HBO has proven that they create the best television. They don't create the most, but they create the best quality, in my opinion. Some of the best shows in the last 20 years and the last couple years that we've done on this podcast have come from HBO. Watchmen, Chernobyl, potentially Lovecraft Country. They really create some really, really great stuff, especially compared to Netflix and Hulu and some of the other ones who have many more duds, I think, than hits HBO does. So
They go for quantity, not quality.
yeah, and so I think they can definitely provide the budget and the audience that you want for this type of show. But I have a lot of high hopes for it because, I'm a big fan of the original Fresh Prince. I think everyone is at this table. And I think a dramatic retelling would be really cool, and it'd be something that's different with the show instead of just a straight-up reboot or a straight-up sequel series. Because if you go back and watch some of the original Fresh Prince, they hit on a lot of relevant issues. They touch on racism, they touch on underage drinking, they touch on drug use, gun violence, losing loved ones. They touch on all of that type of stuff. Absentee parents, moving across country. There's so many, racism in the school, racism at work. But they did it through comedic lens. If you just change that lens, it's interesting.
That'd be definitely cool, and something I'm sure we'll keep an eye out and keep everyone updated on. Continuing on the path of things being rebooted, the X-Men 1990 series, discussions have happened regarding a potential revision of X-Men, the 1990 series.
A revival.
So would they be continuing where it left off?
It would be a continuation of the same show.
So it's been about
94?
Roughly 20 years, 20 plus
20
years.
plus years, yeah.
Oh, so we have Old Man Logan?
I don't know if they would just pick up where it left off, or it would
take place in present day.
Or how it would work. But it would be interesting. I mean, the 90s X-Men show is definitely one of the better animated superhero shows. I think one we all grew up watching. It's interesting that it's, everyone thinks Disney has a master plan. But clearly they don't. Especially like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like, oh, everything has to be part of the MCU. But then you hear rumors like, yeah, Deadpool's still going to exist, and they're just going to pretend that it doesn't exist in the MCU.
Into the Spider-Verse.
You have the whole Sony thing.
Yeah.
You have their animated shows that have never really connected. You have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that just ended with the last 2 seasons were like time travel and weren't even part of the MCU. Or they had like a throwaway line where it's like, yeah, you're in a different timeline.
Wait, for real? This is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just
wrapped.
it just wrapped up its 7-season run, and the last 2 seasons had like time travel and stuff, and they hadn't referenced Endgame at all. They hadn't referenced like the snap or anything like that. And it turns out they had one character like come to them and they're like, "You're in a different timeline," and then he pulled them back into the prime timeline
At the end?
at the very end of the show.
Nice.
Didn't I also see, speaking of Agents of
all
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
a dream.
wasn't there reference to like Agents of S.W.O.R.D.? At the very, very end, I think like they're on a ship
yeah.
and they're like, we need to expand or something.
Yeah. There's also a reference to Sword in Endgame.
Wait, Pokemon
too.
Sword and Shield?
Yes.
That's what they're creating.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would love a 1990s X-Men continuation because that was a really good show. They had some very, very great iconic moments. Probably the best interpretation of Apocalypse, I think, to date.
Oh God, you're right.
They also, I mean, they did Days of Future
Magneto.
Past.
Yes.
They did all the iconic,
Moments.
X-Men comic book lines. So it arguably did them better than any of the live-action movies.
Oh yeah, not even arguably. They did.
I mean, Days of Future Past is a good X-Men
Oh,
movie.
I love Days of Future Past, but it's hard to. A cartoon can succeed where live action will fail because the scope. You can just change the scope. Like you can never you're never gonna capture the scope of a comic book in a live action. It's a little too. It's too much.
And speaking on cartoons going to live action,
Boom, baby.
a beloved children's series.
How dare you?
The original Avatar creators have walked
Avatar: The
away.
Last Airbender. we should
Avatar:
say.
The Last Airbender
Yeah.
have walked away from the live-action reboot.
If you don't say Avatar: Last Airbender, people will be like, James Cameron's leaving Avatar? What?
You heard it here first. So yeah, their creators have parted ways with Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix
it's not
is the
good.
one that wanted to do the a live-action remake of the series. A couple of things that came out, and I don't know if this is true. They wanted to age the characters. They didn't want Aang and
Katara.
and them to be like in their
Sokka.
early teens. They wanted them to be a little bit older.
The original creators or Netflix?
Netflix.
Hmm.
And this was so that they could make it bloodier, gorier, and sexier.
Oh, they're gonna just fuck it up.
Yes. Basically.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Basically, they want to go from being a children's show to being something for,
Teenagers and young adults.
and the young adults.
Well,
yeah.
Netflix has really leaned into that like young adult genre with a lot of their dating shows and like reality shows and stuff.
Do you ever look at Netflix and look and be like, am I getting MTV vibes?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Yes.
you really are because they're really trying to go for that kind of audience right now.
I didn't know that was still an audience.
Well,
for that.
Netflix has so many divisions, right? They have their cooking. They literally have like full departments for different genres.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling like this one got kind of pitched, and a lot of the different departments are like, we gotta make it this style and this style. And Netflix, has infamously become when they get one format that works, that they then replicate every single type of show into that format.
What happened with the action genre? Arguably, they're still trying to find. I mean, they did a lot better, obviously, with the last one, the Old Guard.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they'll follow from now on. But here's my question, right?
Yeah.
So the original creators have left. Do they still have the rights to the? Does
Yeah.
Netflix still have the rights?
Netflix is still, as of right now, pushing ahead with the show. I believe there is a petition to get the creators back, and another petition for Netflix to just cancel the show.
Cancel the show.
I agree. I think if you have the original creators leaving a show that they worked on because of creative differences, that's a bad sign for your show.
Here's what Netflix should do. They should make if they want to go live action, do it, but it should be a different avatar. If you want to keep in the same universe, do the avatar after Korra, or do ancient avatars or something. If you want to make it an adult and sexy, go ahead, pick a totally different avatar. Let Aang and
Katara and Sokka.
and then Korra. Let those just be their own thing, I think that would be great. I would be down for it because if it sucks, it doesn't matter. It's a totally different medium. It's live action. It's not the original creators. You're just like, fuck it. Doesn't care.
To me, when
Doesn't matter.
Avatar came out, it almost gave me Star Wars vibes because we talked about this last week, or
Space Wizards.
we didn't talk about this last week. We talked about this on the live stream we did on Friday with the premiere of our Drunk History Star Wars thing. But like Star Wars works so well because it's this massive universe. Kind of the same thing with Avatar, right? There's so many versions of Avatar and the different avatars throughout the world and stuff that you can really create and really have a bunch of you can really have a bunch of cool stuff. Like you can really have a bunch of cool stories that are in the past, in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different characters, all these different iterations of the Avatar. And so I've always been a little disappointed that we haven't seen more shows. I know they've done some comic books and graphic novels with Aang and also with Katara, but just going back through the history with all the avatars, and also going into the future, like you could
Present day Avatar.
A lot of cool stuff.
We're getting there.
Which would basically be Jedi.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
No.
Jedi.
No.
But yeah, they can move all the forces. Fire and earth and wind. And
Jedi?
Sure. Last piece of news here. Once again, things of the past coming back.
Yeah, we have
The
a lot
G4 Network, their old Twitter handle a couple weeks ago, put out a promotional video that basically said that, hey, we didn't disappear and we're coming back. And Olivia Munn came out and said, yes, I am coming back for G4. Nice. Or is at the very least is in talks to come back. G4 TV was an interesting thing because it was, 10 years ago it folded?
Something like that.
About 10 years ago. And it was, at the beginning of, I would say, when esports was really kind of picking up. Primarily G-Force worked as like a tech review and kind of like a little bit of video game, and then it moved into pop culture. One could argue what we do here at Was It Good is very much based on what we learned and what we saw on the G4 network. Wow. So I think it's interesting that that potentially is coming back or is coming back. I mean, there's been other alternatives, like Then.tv is another one where it's 24/7 gaming information. So what do you guys think? Olivia Munn returning, or should she stick with the Hollywood stuff and being Psylocke?
I'll go first. I never really watched G4. I think I was too old for it, or I just didn't care. So to me, this news means nothing. And that's all I have to say about that.
I think with Olivia, I feel like I don't think Olivia Munn is like the right host to bring back for G4. Like personally, I was, I know a lot of the quote unquote thirsty fans of G4 really loved Olivia Munn for certain reasons.
Brett.
But I watched G4 like a nerd for the video games, and there were certainly
you didn't hit puberty.
Yeah, I hadn't hit puberty yet. Thanks, Krishna.
You're welcome.
But it was 10 years ago.
Wait a second. What? God, you're a late bloomer.
No, G4 originally.
It was Tech TV before G4.
Well, no, there was G4, then there was Tech TV, and then they became G4 TV.
Okay.
They combined.
Wow, they merged.
Also, they were separate.
Yeah.
Like a Super Saiyan.
But I think with G4, it folded for a specific reason. If you bring back all the old cast and all the old people that used to run it, it's probably going to crash again. It's probably not going to work. So if you're bringing back G4, the video game world has changed, right? Esports is a real thing. Video gaming has changed a lot. We're really going to, there's a lot of gamers that don't play a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Nintendo. They play on their phones. They play PC. G4 needs to evolve with that, and I feel like just in a grand sense, just going back to what it used to be, it's not going to work. Because the issue was they weren't adapting fast enough before. Now if G4 is smart, they need to get a lot of the e-gaming stuff. They need to go get all those tournaments and stuff and have a home for them on G4.
So are you
network.
saying
they need to have new hosts? They need to reach out to the YouTube personalities, the Twitch personalities of these video game stuff that are popular and bring them onto their network, right? They need to work in the digital age and become a presence on Twitch and YouTube as well.
Is it
instead of just
confirmed
a
though?
network.
Does the Olivia Munn signing or potential return mean that everyone's coming back? Or
No,
are you
it
just
doesn't.
projecting?
I'm just symbolically, right? Symbolically, if you're going back, the infamous there's an infamous Christopher Eccleston quote, who played the Ninth Doctor on Doctor Who. When he was asked about returning to Doctor Who, he's like, "Well, you never bathe in the same river twice, right?"
Sure.
And there's kind of a saying to that. If something didn't work before, if the definition of insanity, right, is just trying the same thing over and over again and hoping for the same result. Well,
Sure.
if you're going to symbolically try the same thing again, probably going to get the same result.
Let me pitch you a different side of the story. Was Olivia Munn there at the end when G4 shut down?
She was not.
Can you make the argument that their ratings may have gone down after she left?
I mean, yeah, you could certainly make.
Do you
an
think maybe she
argument.
took some fans with her?
But I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Boom.
You're not wrong.
Well, the other big thing you have to also look at too, like G4 TV folded 10 plus years ago or however long ago, whatever.
Yeah.
The nature in which content is made and put out there has changed dramatically. The amount of podcasts, live streams, like Twitch is a platform in itself. You've got so much content that's already readily available. It's going to be hard to be like, but beyond the core fan base or the fans that were there, I'm curious to see how they're going to go and get new fans.
Yeah.
When it's like you can go to a Was It Good to get your content, your information.
Ooh, look at that plug. But it's true, though. I mean, you just got everything that G4 provided, you can get on Twitch or YouTube.
That's
Or
why
Twitter.
that's why they need to become a digital. They need to become a digital.
Only?
No, not digital only, but they need to become a digital presence because no network is just surviving off network. You have to have digital. What G4 can be is kind of what ESPN is, right? Like ESPN is considered the universal sports home. There's certainly other sports brands that are out there.
Yahoo Sports.
That are inferior in many regards.
Nice.
But what I will say,
Wow.
what I will say is, ESPN is still the king of sports, right? They have the platform, they have the digital platform, they have the games and stuff. There is no universal home for that for video games, and like that's what G4 kind of used to be. They're certainly behind right now, but if they kind of get their ducks in a row, they could become that. They could become that digital home where, yeah, you can it used to be the dream of every person who loves sports to work at ESPN. That's probably not the case anymore.
God, no.
But you could potentially have that for video games, especially as e-gaming is blowing up and has continued to kind of evolve and everything. So
I personally think it's going to be a failed experiment. I think the ship has sailed for a platform like G4, and simply because of stuff like Twitch, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. You, Ravi, would actually, both of you would probably know more than I do. But I feel
Yes,
like
we do know more than you.
the
Thank you.
video
I agree
game,
with that.
the video game community respects individuals more than I think I've even heard you say that. They respect individuals more than corporations.
Well, that's not just gaming. That's everywhere.
I know. I'm not. We're
Yeah.
not. Let's not get into a deeper discussion about that.
Sure.
But the video game community specifically, because let's be honest, video game is more accessible than trying to hit a baseball or trying to go play football. With enough time, and it still requires talent and good eyesight. Almost anyone can come up and become good enough at a video game to make a living out of it potentially, right?
You still need. I would
Luck?
not. I would not say it's anybody. You still need luck. You still
No,
need to be
I-
discovered.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
and
But
you still
the-
need
I would s-
personality.
yeah, you
The
still
same thing
need-
with an athlete.
Yeah.
The dry athletes generally don't make it.
Yep. And remember, even with like regular sports and athletes, the contract or the team that you sign with only goes so far financially, depending on position, injuries, and all that fun stuff. The flip side with esports is you start younger.
Yeah.
But you also end a hell of a lot younger too. And once again, like
Wait, why?
because as you get older, you're not as fast eye-hand coordination. Like once you get into your mid-20s, that's why a lot of like pro esports players, they're very, very young.
Yeah.
Like they get in there at like 16 and they go until about 20, 23, 24, and then they kind of drop. Some stick around, but like with regular sports, they stick around with the bigger personalities and what they sign on to. I think whatever G4 comes back as, it needs to be clear cut and defined. I don't know if they come back as the home of esports, if that works, because then it's just Overwatch League, League of Legends, actual esports or whatever. That might be too limiting for them.
I don't think it should become just the home of esports. It should become the home of all video games. And esports is certainly a piece of that pie. But you still have gamers like
Dr. Disrespect, Ninja.
Yeah, but you also have gamers that just like weird. You have weird gamers that play single player mode, and
Michael Learman.
you have gamers that like. There's so many types of gamers, you know what I mean? And there's no universal home for that. That's what ESPN tries to be, right? It caters to every sports fan. Whether you love horse racing or whether you love, I guess everything besides hockey, right? On ESPN.
Wait, there's no hockey on ESPN?
Well, that's been the joke for a long time, that hockey really isn't covered on ESPN.
It's not covered on anything.
Well, it's also like as we're talking ESPN has an entire like esports division too.
Yeah.
Right.
But once again, we're talking just a slice of the gaming pie,
Right.
Yeah.
which
Right.
is like the electronic sportsmanship.
Right.
Right.
I don't like the term esports because it feels limiting.
Yeah.
Because anything within video game that is a competition could be considered
Esports.
but then esports is also pushed in with talent who like a Dr. Disrespect.
Do they play competitively?
He plays competitively, but he's not nationally. He's like not ranked in a variety of games. I think he's ranked in like one game. But his whole spit and his whole deal is more entertainment value than anything. But
he gets lumped in with esports.
yeah,
Oh, okay. See, that is a problem.
yeah.
Huh.
It makes it like nobody's figured out or defined that term properly. Because the other question then is like,
Who cares?
well, also who cares? Everything is a joke and everything is space dust. But then the other big question is like, if you have the Phoenix Suns players playing NBA 2K against the Celtics, is that esports? When you
Yes.
when you compare it to like the pro NBA 2K players playing, like
Yeah.
Well, you have to call
Is
it
that all-
ama-
is
you
that
call
all-
it you call it amateur esports, right? Versus like a pro league.
right, but that's the thing. There's like there's no group that has like obviously like with the NBA, they've sat down, they've defined their various leagues. Nobody's done that with esports. But then esports, it breaks down into so many different things. Like there's the Madden leagues, there's the 2K leagues, there's
a Sims 4 league.
Is it really?
What? Yeah, I saw it advertised on something. I think on YouTube. People play Sims 4 competitively. Like they're given scenarios and have to beat the scenarios in a time limit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I was like, I can't believe this is a thing.
I'm gonna look that up.
I think there's a TV show. There's a show about the Sims 4 league, like where they show players like breaking down, like, oh my god.
So speaking of like goofy stuff like that, so way back, I believe it was a G4 original production. They did like, and when Rock Band was like pretty big,
yeah,
they did like
Classic.
the next like big rock band star group, and it would basically be like these people who were like amateur rock stars
Making the
would
band.
go and like it was
that's
like a whole like reality show thing.
I mean, that's hilarious. That's
But
a great
that's
idea.
like that stuff was
That's a great
that
idea.
if G4 comes back with stuff like that,
Yeah.
stuff with like Overwatch,
Yeah.
I think that would be
I
interesting.
just want cheat code.
You want
I also want a cheat code show again.
what's Cheat Code Show?
So cheat code was the show on G4
About
where
cheat
they
codes?
they would talk about a game, like,
Yeah.
like a new release game, and they would kind of tell you all the cool cheat codes.
Or
around it and
hints,
stuff,
or
and
like
hints and stuff like
oh,
that.
that's a great idea.
exploits and all that.
It
fun
was a
stuff.
great show. You'd have to certainly update it for 2020. Like I don't think the format was very networky early 2000s, but I loved the information I would get out of it for sure.
Well, there you go. Sounds like you want it to change, but also be the same. Make up your mind, please.
No,
No. It's fine.
I'm kidding.
I'll
I'm
do what
kidding.
I want.
Exactly.
kidding.
I'm an adult, I think. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on Was It Good? We discussed Lovecraft Country. We discussed Star Trek Lower Decks and had a bunch of new stuff. Once again, we are giving away 2 awesome Was It Good branded face masks. You can enter by checking out our Twitter or Instagram page, Was It Good BTM. We'll have a post up there that you just need to like and then follow, like and share, and then follow the appropriate account to be entered, and we'll pick a winner next week. I am done.
Say goodbye.
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 I also stopped.